Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today is Nashville Congressman Jim Cooper. Congressman, at this point, President-elect Biden continues to say he wants to govern for all Americans, not just for the ones who elected him. Is one way to be able to reach out to others in the country who didn't vote for him to put Republicans in his cabinet, or should he go even further and decide and announce that his administration will no longer proceed any investigations or prosecutions against outgoing President Trump after he leaves office?
Well, Pat, I do think that Joe Biden is completely sincere. He wants to be a president for all Americans, including the folks who voted for President Trump. So he's worked for decades in the Senate on a bipartisan basis with Republicans to get good legislation passed. So he's a very fair and decent and calm man. And I think Americans of both parties are looking forward to that calmness, because we need to restore America's institutions and return to normal. And I think that by appointing a Republican or so to the cabinet, it would be a good gesture of goodwill. Actually, many Democratic presidents have done that in the past. Obama did that, Clinton did that. I wish Republicans were more willing to do that. But Democrats have generally shown goodwill and bipartisanship. But
not any effort to try to perhaps abate any kind of prosecutions on the president, because it looks like some will happen, if not on the federal level, then on the state level after he leaves office.
Remember that prosecutions in America are supposed to be undertaken by prosecutors, not by presidents. It would be wrong for the Attorney General of either party to be an attack dog. Now, Trump has tried to use William Barr as an attack dog, and before that, Sessions. But that's really not right. District attorneys, U.S. attorneys, folks like that should make the prosecutorial decisions based on the evidence. Now, there is a big issue whether Trump could pardon himself or have Vice President Pence pardon him if Trump were to resign at the last minute and have Pence do it. But we need to remember that the pardon power does not extend to state crimes. And actually, most crimes in America are state-level crimes. So whether the president is in trouble in New York or Florida, his state's residence, I don't know. I don't really want to know. But I know that I'm glad that Joe Biden won the election and that we're going to have a new president.
President Biden will be held, if he becomes president, will be held to what he gets done in Congress. He has a smaller majority to work with in the House. The House did nominate their new leadership this week. They continue with Speaker Pelosi. I think you surprised me election night when you said you were going to vote for her. You have not been that fast, but that was before the Democrats lost as many seats as they did. Normally, the leader has to take the fall for that. Did you still vote for her, nominate her yesterday, and do you still support her?
I do support her. I have not in the past, but I actually think she's shown more moderation in recent years than she has in the past, and I want to encourage that. She's also said this will be her last term as Speaker. So we should celebrate, I think, her historic leadership. She's not perfect. She represents a very different district than mine, but she has pulled the Democratic Party together in a remarkable way to keep us unified. And that's very important because we need all corners of the Democratic Party. We can't afford to lose a vote because right now our margin in the House is only five votes, which means that if 3 people were to change their minds out of a caucus of 222, then we would lose to the Republicans. So unity is very important at a time like this.
You have the progressives and the moderates in your party, in your caucus, fighting and pointing fingers at each other. That doesn't look like a good sign. Did the Speaker also undercut herself in her last term by announcing that she was going to be a lame duck and not seek re-election to her seat in leadership again?
Well, she's on her own timetable. She announced that actually 2 years ago, but she's sticking to her pledge. And I think that we should honor her leadership because right now there's actually no alternative to her. Nobody literally ran to take her place. So I think we've got to be realistic, and we've also got to be unified because, as I say, we need our progressives, we need our conservatives, we need everybody because we don't have a vote to spare.
You've gotten a vote or two in the past for speakership. If you're still in Congress in 2 years, might you be a candidate for leadership at that high level?
Well, I'm not really running. I have often gotten votes from my colleagues in the past as a show of respect and also as a show of opposition to Pelosi, but I'm not seeking votes. I'm not running as a candidate.
Joe Biden seemed to have absolutely no coattails. He got more votes than any candidate ever in the history of the presidency. What happened? Why was he not able to do better in the down ballot? Is it because the public just always wants to not give one party complete control in Washington? They want to split tickets?
Well, voters over time have shown a preference for gridlock or for divided government. And that makes it harder on us, but it's also makes us to be more responsible, makes us listen to the other side. Now, I naturally do that anyway because I believe in the golden rule. I believe in treating others as you would like to be treated. And whether you're up or down, you need to be nice to other people. I hope that the National Party will do that because it's important that we govern not only with a 2-year majority, but with hopefully a much longer majority than that. We can do that if we listen, if we care, if our heart's in the right place. And I think that's what's really important.
But does it all come down to Georgia as far as getting anything done through Congress? The House will be able to pass most of the legislation if they stick together. But when it gets to the Senate, Mitch McConnell has taken most of the things the House passed in the last 2 years and put them dead on arrival when they got there. It's not clear whether he'll be majority leader. It depends on what happens in the 2 runoff races in Georgia. Are you going to be doing any campaigning down there? And does it all come down to what happens in Georgia?
Well, certainly if we win both Georgia Senate seats, we could have a majority with in the Senate. But it's more than about raw numbers. I think that Joe Biden's long tenure in the Senate gave him a very close personal relationship with Mitch McConnell. Mitch is hard to get close to, but Mitch was the only senator who went to the funeral of Joe Biden's son in 2015. And I think that says a lot. I hope that if anybody can soften Mitch McConnell's heart, that it will be Mitch McConnell, or that Joe Biden can do it. But it's really going to be a hard thing to do. Mitch is a very cold and isolated person. He's been a very successful person at calculating, how to get pushed through judgeships and things like that. But I think if anybody can melt him, it's Joe Biden.
Nashville Congressman Jim Cooper is our guest on Inside Politics. More of our conversation with him after this break.